we're all wise in our own ways. And that's the beauty of human design, again, because we don't have to live our life as somebody else, because we have our own wisdom, we have our own gifts. And I find that the world needs all our gifts, right? If I have a gift and you have a gift and we put them together, then we're going to have a better world than I am trying to operate as your gift when I don't have it, right? So I think that is the beauty of human design and the collective. If we all live in alignment with our authentic self and, find our authentic voice and speak our unique message, and together we will make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We're so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective podcast. We have an amazing guest with us today. Her name is Ranya Ahmed. She is a human design, life, and business coach. Ranya helps women grow their business or career while living a fulfilling life through the embodiment of their human design. Welcome. We are so excited to talk to you about this topic. Alyssa and I talk about this on our own all the time.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and looking forward to how this conversation will go.
Yay. Before we dive into our topics for the day, we'd love to kick it off with our signature question, which is, what is your favorite self-care practice?
There's a couple. One of the things that I have learned about my own design is that I have a channel, 1020, which is the channel for self-love. So I'm designed to speak about self-love and self-care. And one of the things that I have been embodying, especially over the last few years, is being present. And I think being present is important for us when it comes to prioritizing our own well-being and our own mental health, our own, self-love, how we speak to ourselves, the thoughts that we're thinking. And I've always lived either, going over the past, mistakes as a line 6, if you're familiar. So line 6, we've done pretty much a lot of trial and error. So I lived a lot of my life reflecting on previous mistakes or worrying about the future. But it's been a few years that now I really enjoy being in the moment and, just taking in everything. And I think that is a good thing when it comes to self-love and self-care, whether you go to the spa, have a massage or whatever. It's just be in the moment, whatever you do, even just looking at the mirror and say, we've got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. How often do we look ourselves in our own eyes and give ourselves those words of encouragement? I think that's a beautiful reminder for us. I'm going to have to do that.
I'm happy it resonates.
I love that it's not necessarily something that's physical, like an act, but it's more like emotional and something you say to yourself or do kind of quietly, silently,
Yeah, like I love me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And human design has helped me a lot with that. So maybe we'll talk about this as we speak, how to really love ourselves, our true selves, when we understand our design, which eventually help us progress in life because we can, embrace all our unique gifts.
Yeah. I love the depth of information that can be gained from the human designs. I feel like I've only scratched the surface on what information is there for me and how I can utilize it. I don't know a ton about like the channels and the gates, so that's kind of my next thing that I want to explore now that I have a bit of an understanding of just generally the being a generator, having the sacral authority and things like that. So I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, and if you are, whether you're very new or even familiar with human design, I believe that going through the foundation is really important. Like you can't really start looking at gates and channels when you're not already living your type and your strategy and
Mhm.
your authority and understanding your centers. There, like you said, there's so many layers, and just going through the basics and up to the centers, you need a good couple of years to really embody that before you start actually using, okay, what gate is this? How can I use this? There's so many layers. And I always remind my clients is like, okay, like take your time. It's not a switch on, switch off, especially if we have been brought up in a way that we think we are a certain way. And now we're like, oh, that's not really how I actually work. And that's a good news because I've always felt something was, off with me. And now I get to live my life my way. So definitely takes practice, and it's an experiment until you really own your own gifts.
Yeah. I've definitely had many moments of feeling very validated as I learned something new or experience something where it was like, oh, like you said, it gives me that validation of that's why I don't feel in alignment with that, or that's why that sucks my energy. I feel like I'm kind of in this transitional chapter of moving away from the energy sucking things that
Mhm.
are not me living in my joy and living in my energy to moving into, okay, what would it look like if I really do embrace what sparks me as a generator? And how do I tap into that endless energy that supposedly I have, but I
Yes.
haven't quite gotten there yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. How did you get into human design?
Uh, I'm glad you asked that question because it was my own personal development journey that got me across human design. Um, I've had a lot of challenging, situations, whether in my career, relationships, and I decided that if I want to change my life, I'm going to be the one changing it. So I need to work on myself and improve my communication skills, improve my emotional intelligence, improve my, manage my emotions. Like there's so many different things that we can look at. And I started investing in myself, whether in master classes and coaching. And that's how I came across human design for the first time. And I was hearing these words like, I'm a projector, I'm a manifesting generator. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So I went down that rabbit hole and I started to really study every piece of human design that I can come across. And I remember I was connecting my own chart dots, if you will, like, putting things together. And I was sitting at this dining table and I started to cry because I felt, these are tears of relief that, okay, nothing is wrong with me, and tears of joy that, okay, like I have so many lessons learned that now I can see why I have been through all these experiences. And I found that human design is the perfect tool for me to grow as a person, but also to use it to help other women, really see themselves and see their own personal growth journey. So I studied everything about human design. I still have a lot to learn. I did a certification, and that's how I brought it into my business to use it. So that's really my story. It was more of I wanted to be a better person.
I love that. Who did you go through for your certification?
My certification is with Karen Parker. So I'm a level 2 right now, and I'm still working towards my level 3 and 4. Yes. So
Okay,
I've
I
been
love
studying
that.
human design since 2020 right now. But like I said, I'm taking it slow, really embodying, every step of the way. I've studied on my own first, but then I was like, okay, I want to fill in any gaps that I may have and make sure that I have the support that I need if I have any questions. So I jumped on with Karen. She's a great mentor.
Mm, I love that.
Thank you.
And do you want to describe to our audience what human design is?
Yes. So human design, I like to explain human design in easy way, things that, very easy to comprehend because it sometimes can get, overwhelming with the information. And I really explain human design in a very easy way. You take actionable steps, how to implement it in your life, in your business. So I like to explain human design as, you can say, a personality tool, if you will, but it's more about energetics. It's about how you navigate through the different energies, how understanding your thoughts, your fears, your emotions through different situations. Um, it is you can go to any free website that gives you the free chart. I prefer Jovian Archive. You put in your birth information, it gives you a chart, and then it tells you your type, your strategy, your authority. And it's really all about, like I said, how to navigate through the different energies, how you navigate life, but also gives you information about how you are in relationships, the way you communicate, what is in alignment with you, to make aligned decisions, because we are not designed to make decisions with our minds, because our minds are limited to whatever we've told our minds so far, right? Like the stories that we've been through, our mind is very limited in a way. And human design brings us back to our bodies to really connect to our inner wisdom, whether that is the intuition, the emotional authority. So there are different people are designed differently, and really tuning into that inner wisdom to come to that aligned decision and an aligned place of what is really good for me, even though my mind doesn't comprehend it yet. So that's really about human design and how to use it as a tool.
Mm. I love how easy that was to kind of comprehend and digest.
I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you.
It's neat to see the through line too of some of the other practices that like our somatic coaching, essentially we're helping people go into the body as well and seek that inner wisdom. And I love when multiple modalities lend to the same outcome. And it's really about each person finding that doorway in that modality that resonates with them and allows them to access that inner wisdom, because it's not always breath work or coaching. Sometimes it's human design, or maybe it's a certain style of meditation. And the through line is that the answers are in here and not up here.
Yes. And I've always heard that, but I've never really understood it. But where in
Yeah,
there?
exactly.
Right. So
Where?
to
How do we
me,
get it?
yeah, to me personally, human design was that cherry on top, where everything that I have worked through the years to work on myself, and then human design was just this tool that I really resonated with and connected with and fell in love with, if I can say that. And that's why maybe I also have this way of really teaching it or explaining it from a place of embodiment, from a place of my own experience as a line six too. So as a line six, we're designed to, learn from our mistakes and learn throughout, different experiences and embody that, and then teaching others through that experience and showing them what's possible for them. And that's another reason why I'm doing this, because I have lived this. I'm not teaching just like a textbook. It's more of, okay, this is what I've studied, but this is what I've embodied, and this is how we can get you there as well. So that's why I really like human design. But as you said, it's all about sometimes mixing things depending on the client. And yes, definitely a little bit of breath work, that, maybe meditation, like you said, and then, human design for sure for me.
Yeah. I found it being learning about the two channel and or line, and that I find myself very much like learning from the past and the future. I spent a lot of my earlier years not being present because I was so consumed about that potential spiral of reflecting on the past. And um, now I've, worked to become much more present, but it also was validating for me because I'm the type of person that's done many different things that are all very unrelated. Like, aside from my interest of personal development, all my career paths are like 180s from each other, from like banking to personal training to philanthropy. It's just like all over the map. And now I realize it's just that natural tendency for me to be like, oh, I want to learn this now. Oh, I want to learn this now. I'm going to go over here. I can do everything.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
What
Good.
aha, have there been like particular aha moments that have stood out in your time of learning where it was just like, oh my gosh, now I know this and it's just a game changer?
Yes, I love this question actually because it's going to take us really in the root of personal development, in my opinion. Um, to get there, let me just do a little introduction on, different stages of human or layers of human design. So the first one we have is the type, which is our different type of energies, right? So if you're a generator, manifesting generator, projector, and so on. So everybody has different type of energy or amount of energy in your body. Sometimes you have so much energy versus other types. Maybe they don't feel as energetic as you are, and that's okay because maybe they're designed to work smarter, not harder, right? So everybody's different when it comes to their energy in their body, and that is the type. We talked about the authority, which is how we make aligned decisions. So if you're a sacral being, you are meant to, make decisions fast. If you're emotional authority, you want to sleep on your decisions. So that is another layer. But where I'm going with all of that is if we go into the centers, so we all have the 9 centers. So if you pick up your chart, you're going to see those little squares and triangles and in the chart. These are energetic centers, and we all have these centers. Some of them, you may have them colored in, which means they are defined, meaning you have consistent, reliable energy in these centers within you. They are your strength, something that you can rely on, you can tap into at any time. And then some of these centers you may have white or undefined, which means you do not have consistent energy in them. You experience that energy from the outside world. And whether you have it defined or undefined, you still have the center. And it's very important to understand that. The difference is that you may be experiencing the energy of that center differently. So the aha moment for me, the big one, is the heart center. The heart center is the little, triangle on the right. Maybe we can, I don't know, drop a chart in with the link, or they can check my profile. But I talk a lot about the heart center. The heart center is a center for self-esteem and willpower. And I have learned that and don't quote me for the percentage because I tend to forget, I have an open head center, but I think it's about 73% of the population have this center open or undefined.
Oh, wow.
Which means that around 70% of the population do not have consistent energy when it comes to their feeling about themselves, of their self-worth, which means you experience your self-worth from the outside world. And that is one of my biggest struggles for so many years. I have the center totally open, so I get to experience everything about self-worth. So if you tell me, Ranya, this was an amazing podcast, I would be like, woohoo, I am amazing. And if I did a mistake or said something wrong, I would feel like I'm not worthy. And I feel all the spectrum. And how I like to explain human design is there is no weaknesses. There's no strength and weaknesses in your design. There are gifts or strength, and then there are superpowers when you understand how you navigate the energy of this. And that to me was a turning point in my personal development journey, to know that I am worthy no matter what. I do have the center no matter what. So yes, maybe sometimes I'll be triggered from the outside world, feeling I'm not worthy, but it doesn't mean that I'm not worthy. I am worthy, I am good enough, and I have nothing to prove. And it's just the energy of how I feel in that specific moment, because maybe I sent the wrong email, or maybe I answered the phone and said the wrong thing. It doesn't mean that I'm not worthy. It just means that I made a mistake and I can learn from it and keep going. You know what I mean? And understanding that is, sometimes we feel we're not worthy as people with open or undefined heart center, and you get to see maybe the smaller population with defined center. They're like all over, they're showing up. Sometimes you get triggered, so you try to prove yourself that you are good enough. You want to prove yourself that you're worth of the promotion, that you're worth of the client, that you're worth of, the pay of your offer. So you try to prove yourself, and that creates a little bit of competition that it's not healthy for you. And imagine 70% of the population trying to prove each other, like prove themselves. No wonder why we live sometimes in a world where, there is a lot of messages out there of you can be better, you can do better, the bigger house, the better car. So you're always in that feeling of, am I really good enough here? Am I really doing what I needed to do? So understanding that part is really essential to know that you are good enough no matter what. You are good enough. And then understanding the whole chart of, okay, what are really my gifts that I can rely on? And what are the areas where I'm maybe more fluid in this energy? And then I can choose what energy to pick up for that center, right? Like, okay, I'm open in the heart center. I have fluid sense of my self-worth. I have the choice to choose if I'm worthy or not every single moment. So to me, that was a really eye-opening, especially that the majority of the population might be going through this, and we don't know. We might feel that we're alone in this, but we're not.
Wow. That's so insightful and so helpful too in not just understanding ourselves, but just having compassion for the 70% of people around us that are in that same um, felt sense, unconscious or conscious. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And then also looking at the whole chart, because even if you have it defined, I find a lot of my clients, they have their heart center defined, they know they have a sense of their self-worth, but they still dim their own light because they have maybe experienced that, okay, when I do this, when I show up in that energy, the people around me are triggered, and that makes me uncomfortable. Maybe because they are emotionally open. So that's why
Oh my
understanding
gosh, that was just like a
whole
light bulb
chart,
moment for me.
right? So understanding your chart and understanding, okay, where is exactly the trigger from? And then, okay, let me go in and do the inner work and clean this up so I can really show up fully and embrace my natural gifts, and then work on those energies where I'm maybe a little bit of confused, okay, which one I want to live in when it comes to that theme of that specific center. And then you get to choose. You have the power to choose a different story of how you want to show up or how you want to make an impact, whether that is within your family, in your relationships, in, at work, in your business. And definitely in the relationships, because maybe you're in a relationship, but you and your partner are very different design, you're triggering each other, you don't really understand what's happening. But when you really dig into the design and then you understand, okay, I know exactly why this is happening, you get to laugh about it sometimes. You're like, yep, that's the way we're designed.
Wow. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I have a defined heart center,
Oh, there you
and
go. I don't know.
yeah, I've definitely had that feeling before where I really struggle to have attention on me or to, and then in those moments where I do feel like I'm shining bright, I do sense that, and I'm very empathetic. So I sense that triggering in people. And then it's like, oh, I didn't mean to like make you feel bad. So then I dim it back because now I don't feel like I'm being looked at in a positive light, even though it was all from positive energy and intent.
Yeah.
So that is so insightful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And that is one of my favorite parts, to look at the chart to see, okay, do you have a defined or undefined? Because I have really worked on my heart center for so many years, even before understanding human design. I was doing a lot of inner work around that. And when I understood human design, like I said, it was the cherry on top, because, okay, now I can really explain it and put my hand on, okay, what is really happening. And when I have somebody with defined heart center like you, and they tell me, yeah, but I don't feel, my confidence, my self-worth. And I'm like, really? Or is it because you can't, you can't really take in the triggers of other. It's a different
Mm.
type of story here. It's not that you're not having a sense of worth. You actually know it, and you consciously dim it down because you don't want people to get triggered, because you're one of those 30%, of the population who have it defined.
Wow.
Sometimes we need a moment to, really absorb. And that's why I said there's so many layers, and then there's so many steps for us to take to really embody that. Because I won't be expecting you after this podcast to say, okay, let me shine bright. It's going to take you some time to actually understand that information, and then to build that awareness. That's the first thing, right? In all modalities, to build that awareness, to know what's really happening, and understanding that energetic of what is happening inside of me. And then, okay, how can I manage that? Because now I know the information. Now let me integrate and let me work on it. It's the same thing with my open heart center. When I get triggered and I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. It's my open heart center. Okay, let me do the work. And then it becomes a faster cycle, because you understand what your body is going through, and then you'll be able to manage that.
Yeah, then you can kind of call on your tools and move through the process, and like, okay, here we go again. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Curious. Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm curious. I can't remember, Alyssa, if you have a defined heart center.
Yeah, it's defined.
Oh,
What are the odds? Both of us.
I know. But I wanted to add something, since we're speaking about personal development, and we talked about the heart centers. So maybe I'll do a quick overview on how we use the centers in personal development. Like, what are the themes of these centers? So, like I said, we have 9 centers. So the first center, at the top of the chart, is the head center. It's for inspiration and ideas. And again, depending, are we inspired from internal or from external, right? Where do we get our ideas from? And then we have the Ajna Center, which is, we take those ideas and then make it into a thought process, or a step-by-step thing to follow. And both of them together form the mind. We have the Throat Center, which is all about communication, how you communicate naturally, what's natural for me to communicate. And then we have the G Center for self-love and direction and identity. We talked about the heart center. So together, the heart and the G gives us that, self confidence, if you will. And then we have the emotional solar plexus for emotional intelligence. We have the spleen, which is for intuition, but also a center of fears. What type of fears are we feeling? And sometimes they are repetitive because of the way we're designed, but it doesn't mean that we have to get stuck in them, right? And then we have the sacral, which is about all the excitement. As a generator or manifesting generator, we have that consistent energy, to work. And then the last one is the root, which is the pressure to do stuff. So the adrenal pressure to work on things and get things accomplished. So from understanding these themes and knowing, okay, how do I navigate through these different themes, we can start really looking at, okay, am I really operating in alignment with the way I'm designed? Or am I going against my own energy, or leaking my energy somehow, draining that energy out of me because I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not? So understanding all these centers really help us in our journey to say, okay, I know what are my strengths, and I know where I need to work on to better understand how I navigate this energy to make it a superpower, and use it, at its best.
Wow, that's super helpful. I'm curious, as I hear that and just thinking about my own design, I'm wondering if you notice a trend in having many open centers and many defined centers trending with being extroverted or introverted. Because I know for myself, I only have one undefined center. And so in
Which
hearing
one
you
is it?
talk, the solar plexus.
Okay.
So that makes me think, like, if I am less open to the outside world and influences, I wonder if that is part of what lends to my introverted nature, because I generally go inward for those things. And then with emotions and that being undefined, that has been something that I've tried to work with a lot because I tend to oscillate with other people's emotions and have a hard time not picking that up and letting it influence my own emotions.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things here. Being open emotionally, remember you're experiencing the energy from the outside world. So when people are emotional, you feel that a lot, like as if it's yours. So
Mhm.
one of the things when you have open centers, you want to remember that, okay, is this energy really mine or not? And asking that question puts you in a place to say, well, it's not mine, I can release it. Okay, let me do the work. You're right. Like it puts you in a place of awareness again. The more of the introvert extrovert, I see that more in the profile.
Mhm.
The profile, it's more about interaction with others. It's also in the way we sell, the way we not communicate, but like really have that type of relationship with others. And I know, Renee, you've mentioned before the call you were a 6'2", and line 2 is all about going inwards. So maybe that's what you're experiencing, is that line 2 of, I need to be alone for a little bit here, right? And it's a good thing because that's the time where you get to reflect on things, where you get to contemplate, and then extracting these lessons and bringing back as a line 6, as a role model for your community, for your network, and teach from that experience after you have integrated it on your own as a line 2. So that's where I would say maybe that is why you're more introverted versus I'm a 4. Are you a 4-6 or 6'2"? I got confused now.
I'm
I
a I'm a 4-6 actually. I was
4-6.
I was totally aligning with that, and then I was like, wait a second.
No. You're a 4-6, but 4 is actually the 4 is more about actually being with people. So in that case, if you feel that you're more introverted, it might be the line 6, depending on where you're at. Do you know which phase you're at in your line 6?
I think I'm in the middle phase.
Phase 2.
I'm pretty sure because I remember being like, I have to wait till I'm 50 to get to the third stage or something like that, you know?
My answer is no, but as a line 6 in the phase 2, that's really also a time where you go a little bit more inwards
Hmm.
because you are reflecting on your phase 1 of trial and error.
Okay, yeah.
Also, it's a time for us, I guess we're all line 6 here. The phase 2 is more about extracting the lessons from your own experience in phase 1. And I'll explain this maybe to the audience. As a line 6, from 0 to 30 years, you are living a phase of trial and error. You learn through your mistakes. You navigate different relationships, different careers. You're trying to learn what's right for you from experiences. And that, in most cases, breaks our hearts because we go through difficult situations, we learn things, and it's tough. The phase 2 from 30 to 50, that's really when we go in human design, we say up on the roof, which means you really distinct yourself a little bit because you have a lot of inner work to work on, healing from the first 30 years of experiences. But also it's a phase where you're learning from others just by looking at what they're doing. You're more, let me see here. What's the lesson learned? What's here? What's the
Yeah.
learn? And it's also time where you feel that you want to spend some time alone, or you want to, distinct yourself a little bit to extract those lessons, right? Through contemplations and through all of that. And then from 50 years and up, you come down from that roof because you've now learned a lot of things through your own experiences and through others' experiences. And like I said, as a line 6, you're here to teach others and show them what's possible for them as the role model. Now, you've asked me, do I have to wait until I'm 50? I honestly feel no, because you can start embodying that future self of yours. Like, what would the 50-year-old version of me would do in that situation, right? Because we are growing in that wisdom, and you can start really helping others through your experiences so far while you're still doing the inner work, while you're still growing, while you're still extracting more wisdom. And we've talked about, your open emotional center. yes, you're very empathetic, you feel people's emotion, and it's very important for you to release that energy at the end of the day, because first of all, it's not yours, right? So, and I know it could be draining and it could be challenging to really, and that's with all the centers, by the way, is sometimes it's challenging to know, okay, why am I feeling that way? What am I thinking that way? What am I fearing this, right? And just to understand, okay, is this actually mine, or am I absorbing this from others? When you have open centers, we're here to reflect from these centers. We're here to show people, right? Mirror things and not really absorb that energy, whatever, the center we're having open.
Wow, that so resonates.
Yeah, good.
I do feel like 30 was that transitional time for me where I went from just experiencing to, okay, I'm ready to learn from others. I'm ready to have mentors and things of
Yeah.
that nature. So
And
yeah,
it's very distinct. You feel like you're different, like same person, but different somehow.
totally different. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I
so
was
interesting.
curious if the Saturn return had anything to do with the 30-year mark, but then it wouldn't if it was 50-year mark. So
So
just curious about that.
yeah, and that is it. The Saturn return is around the 28 to 30 years. So that's really when you step from phase one to phase two. I find that all people get more wisdom as we grow, right, from our own experiences, but it happens in a different way. So for example, line three, they have this trial and error throughout the whole life, right? They are living this, but they get to choose a different story of, okay, like, what is it here for me if I'm going through that difficult situation? So they get really wise also, but in a different way than a sixth line. Same thing for all the other lines. We're all wise in our own ways. And that's the beauty of human design, again, because we don't have to live our life as somebody else, because we have our own wisdom, we have our own gifts. And I find that the world needs all our gifts, right? If I have a gift and you have a gift and we put them together, then we're going to have a better world than I am trying to operate as your gift when I don't have it, right? So I think that is the beauty of human design and the collective. If we all live in alignment with our authentic self and find our authentic voice and speak our unique message, and together we will make a difference in the world.
That felt like a mic drop moment. I love that. Alyssa, I feel like I'm gabbing on. What do you have over there?
Um, so we've talked about personal development. How can we use human design in business?
Yes. So you can, once you understand your human design, I like to say one of my offers is called Living by Design, because I believe that the business is part of our lives, right? So if you're living in your design day in and day out, you show up as the real you in your life, in your relationship, in your business, and then you start applying this in everything. So to give you an example, and I do have a freebie about that. It's called Business by Design, but just to touch on it real quick, is that we have different ways of working, right? So if you're a projector, like I said, how can you work smart, not hard? If you're a manifesting generator, you thrive working on different things. So don't try to only sell one offer, because you're going to get bored and you wouldn't be enjoying what you're doing. You thrive working on different things. So go ahead and sell 2-3 different offers that you're passionate about, and juggle in between them to keep that energy running, right? So that's only your type, but then also your authority. How can you make business decisions with your human design, right? Like if you want to invest with a coach, if you're a sacral, you're excited, go for it. If you're an emotional authority, sleep on it. See if you're still excited about it tomorrow. So it's all about that. But also, if we're looking back at the centers, how can I bring my unique gifts into my offers, right? The areas where I feel others, how can I help my clients? How can I hold space for them? But then remember that it's not my emotions and let it go. So everything we've talked about, you can actually implement it in your business. And like I said, it's so many different layers, but starting with your type, understanding your energy and your capacity, and then supporting yourself with the right tools. Like if you're somebody that doesn't have consistent energy, maybe you want to have a little bit of automation, or you do things and then sell the replays. So really honoring your own energy in your business will have you have a sustainable business that you can grow over time. I have seen so many people on the internet go to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, and then burn down, and then close their businesses, and I'm like, why? Right? But if you honor your own energy, you know when to keep going, you know when to take your rest. We all have rest cycles, and if you prepare for that according to your human design, you guarantee that you're going to be here for a long time, because you're respecting your energy and you're building something that is sustainable for you.
I love that. And I love that permissioning as a manifesting generator to get to do all the
Yes.
things.
There you go. When I first started, they were like all about niching down, sell one offer. And I'm like, but I can't. But then I understood why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that it gives you the permission to go against the grain of what society says it should be or how it should look. It's like, no, actually my energy is my number one authority for how I want to design things.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing, by the way, for like corporate career, right? Like I'm a manifesting generator and I've always asked for more projects, right? Like, yeah, this is my job, but give me something else to play with, right? Because again, that is my energy. And I remember I had a supervisor who used to tell me, I don't know how you do it. And I used to say, I don't know either, but now I know, right? Because it's the type of energy and what really keeps you engaged. Maybe a projector is more happy with doing one-on-one and they're very laser focused, and it's a different type of energy when you understand those different types and authorities and strategies. You get to build your business your way, and that is really all about what I do here, is to support you to create something that is sustainable for you with your own gifts, with your own superpowers. So when you're showing up, you're authentic, you're happy, you're engaged, and it is sustainable for you, again, like I said.
So powerful once you know how you're truly designed to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes me think of that quote, and I'm terrible with names, so I'm not sure exactly where it originated from. It feels like maybe it's from Buddhism, maybe, but comparison being the thief of all joy. And how when we try to look at what other people are doing and replicate, or try to say, oh, I should be like that, or I should be doing this, it's that beautiful reminder that that isn't going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is living in alignment with your most authentic self and your way of generating energy and inspiration and creativity and all those things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm.
And I always say there is being successful. You can choose to be successful, or you can choose to be successful and fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest difference between sustainability and burnout, right? Is, am I successful but so tired and depleted that I can't keep moving forward, or am I successful and I'm so fulfilled and motivated by my own energy that I get to keep going?
Exactly. Yes.
That feels like a good end to note on, unless there's a good end to note on. I just said a good note to end on, unless there's anything else you'd like to share with our audience.
No, I think we've covered a lot today, so I hope it's not overwhelming. If you're new to human design, I know it could be a lot of information, but take this as a sign to go grab your chart and start the journey. It's a journey of a lifetime, and it's a transformational journey, 100%, 150%. Something that I recommend to everybody, and just get to learn yourself and have that permission slip to just be who you are. And it might take a little bit of work to adjust and really go back. I say go back home to who you truly are. But once you start this work, I promise you, you will never look back, because it just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yes, I can attest for that for sure.
And where can our listeners find you?
So I am mostly on Instagram. I'm starting to go into Facebook too, but I'm mostly on Instagram. So they can find me ranya.ahmed.biz, B-I-Z. I don't know if maybe we can put a link or something. And then I also, like I mentioned, I have a freebie, Business by Design, where I send you, a series of emails to tell you more about each type, tell you more how you can embody your type, your authority in your business. And also, I do have a free masterclass that is attached to it. The name is a little bit funny. It has a story. So if I can have a minute, I'll say it. The the masterclass, it's called No Cure for Me. It's How I'm Designed to Be. Because everybody came to me, was like, what's wrong with me? And I say, listen, you don't need no cure. This is how you're designed. Let's embrace it. So that's really the idea of the masterclass, is that nothing is wrong with you. You just need to know how you are designed and how to embody that in your life. So they can find that freebie on my Instagram as well. It's called Business by Design.
I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah,
Please do.
I love that. Well, it was so great having you on. So great talking about human design. And we can't wait to learn more about you and from you on Instagram.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It was such a great pleasure. You two made me very, very comfortable. It was a great conversation, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, amazing. So to our audience, thank you so much for watching. We hope that you have a beautiful rest of the day, and we'll see you again next time.